Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you are in the world or what time of day you're catching this YouTube video. I did a unboxing of the paper pumpkin kit that is currently available throughout Europe. So in America, Paper Pumpkin is a monthly subscription box, and every so often in Europe we get to see one. So this is Bouquet of Hope, and the sentiments are around sending sympathy. So you have sharing in your sorrow, thinking of you and wishing I could be there to hold you, your hand, sorry for your loss, and I'm always here for you. However, what I wanted to show here was that you can use it for other purposes as well. So I am going to create some birthday cards. So with the kit, you get this guide. So that's your Bouquet of Hope instructions. So it's all very clear there, explaining with the stickers to take the backing off and leave the words before you start. Just talking a little bit about the ribbon, etc. So it's really great for a starter crafter or an avid crafter, because you can add some extra bits and pieces. So I have already been playing. Let's get the box out of the way. So I created this as a birthday card. So on there, just simply used the Itty Bitty Birthdays, and Itty Bitty Birthdays retires on the 3rd of May, and it's currently on at £16.80. So if you needed some extra sentiments, they're available. And so this is one of the bouquets, one of the flowers, and then you also get these little strips, and this is obviously one of the card bases. For this one, because I am, for anyone that buys a kit from me, you get a quarter pack of the flower and field paper, because I've got some spares. This is the set of paper, so that's the one that I've used on that card. Then you also get that one and that one. So this means your kit will go even further. You've got a lovely range of papers there to choose from. So this one, I just used the plain card and cut a piece of the paper just a centimetre smaller, used another one of the strips and some of the embellishments that you get. So I'm really just using, sorry, I've just gone the wrong way, that's the other card that I made on my Facebook Live. You get the vellum squares. It is all on my desk, but I can never find what I want when I want it. So for this one, I just cut those edges off, and that's from the inspiration that comes with the kit. So you get inspiration in there, or you can just let your mind run free. So as I say, these extra papers will really help your kit go a lot further. So what I've done is all the sentiments I stamped on using the Mossy Meadow ink spot that's in the kit. So we've got awesome at any age, it's your day, happy belated birthday, can't believe you're another year older, at least you'll always be younger than me, time to celebrate, happy birthday, and they say it's your birthday. So I thought in some of them you might be able to combine those. What I did earlier, now the thing to remember is if you do ink on vellum, and I don't even think that's fully dried yet, ink does take a long time to dry on vellum. Yeah, that is still slightly wet, so just be very mindful that your ink is wet for quite a long time. I just thought it would be really pretty to stamp onto the vellum itself. But the ink takes a long time to dry, so I have done that, but I'm not going to use that because I don't want to risk smudging that. But you can see how this on the vellum complements that. Oh, actually, I might do one with that. Not with that piece of vellum. But essentially, there's enough kit to make 9 cards. With the additional papers, you can make even more. I'm just wondering. See, that would make quite a nice card. The other thing, of course, you get your 9 card bases in the kit, but nothing stops you then making your own card bases. So there's 3 that I've already made. Let's work on a few more. I'll move that to one side. I'm not the tidiest crafter in the world. Hopefully you can relate to that. So I'm going to take one of each of those bases and just show you a few different ideas using the additional papers, and I think we definitely need to get one of these in as well. So let's see, what might be quite nice would be to get that. The other thing is, it's a real shame, but you can completely cover up the patterned side, so that only, well, in that instance, so you could completely and utterly cover that whole front with that piece. Then we could add that on the top, and then we can add our sentiments. So let's do that. So these cards are American sizes, so they are slightly different to the normal card measurements we use in the UK, but it measures 14 by 10.8. So I'm going to do this card in landscape. So the important thing then is to make sure we cut this piece of paper correctly. I might cut it at 11 and then trim it to make sure. So in the kit you get the little glue dots and the embellishments, and if you've got any double-sided tape, that can be easier if you're sticking down a big piece. So I'm going to line this up at the top against my fingers, making sure I've got it even on either side, and then I'm thinking I cut it slightly long because I think it's better to have it too long and be able to trim it than have it too short when creating this. So essentially I've completely masked that, so you're only getting that colour. But what I'm thinking is we could have something like It's Your Day there, and then Time to Celebrate there. So I'm going to use a couple of the little glue dots that come with the kit on the back of the centre of this. So I'm actually going to put 3 across. But you get plenty of them. If you've got double-sided tape, you can use that as well. And then literally these just have, I think the addition of these papers really makes the kit go that little bit further. And having other sentiments, because one would hope, not always the case, but one would hope that you don't have to send too many cards to share someone's sorrow, but I know it does happen, which is why I thought I would do some as birthdays as well, really just to show you the versatility. Now what I'm also thinking is we could add a stripe underneath the other piece. So these pieces measure just under 2 centimeters. So I'm going to cut a piece at 3¼ centimeters, and then I want it a little bit longer as well. So it's 7, so I'm going to do it at 9. Cut too long, you can always cut more off, but you can't add it back on once you've cut it off. But what I'm thinking is that, yeah, that needs to be slightly narrower, I think. But just add, oh actually, how about doing it a bit off centre? Might do that. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this down. So to say, let your mind run wild and get creating. So as I say, there is some guidance in the kit, but you do not have to follow that guidance if you don't wish to. Cut a couple of the corners off just because. Actually, I might make that slightly now. I'm going to take maybe a little ½ centimetre off and then put that on a slight tilt. So just keep playing, just don't be afraid to try and play around. So that's going to go across like that. I'm actually going to use a glue dot at either end. So some sort of tool with a point just makes it a little bit easier to lift those dots off. One at either end, just pop off that covering. So they're basically just like double-sided little glue dots. Then I'm going to tuck that back under there. And when I've got it in position, then I'm going to pop it down. And then that can just run like that. So time to celebrate, it's your day. And then of course we want to add a little bit of bling to that. Just remember I've got that. So I'm going to take, again, these are on little glue dots, so just lift it off with the glue dot. And then just sort of pop them wherever you fancy. I tend to work in odd numbers, so I'm adding 3 or 5. That one. But that's quite a fun little card using that lovely gold. And because I haven't glued that down, that does have a little bit of lift to it as well. So I think then, should we try, what should we do with this one? Actually, do you know what we could potentially do? Is you could put that in the centre. So this is really what I suggest you do, is play around without any glue and just see what takes your fancy. So all these pieces just pull out of the card. can't decide what colour that will go on card base wise. So we could put that on there with, how about a belated birthday. Now the other thing that you can do is, if you have a piece of sponge, take a clean side of sponge, so it pretty much works with any sponge. So you pick up the ink on the sponge and then go straight down around that label. You just add a tiny bit of ink just around the edges. The more you tilt it inwards, the more that ink goes into the centre. You can then just see it just gives you a little bit of a lift on that. So I think I'm going to use this card base. Now if you don't have something like a bone folder, you can take a block and just sharpen that edge. So that's rather pretty. And actually what we'll do this time is we'll find the end of our mossy meadow twine, trim a bit of that off, kind of wrap it round fingers, however you, ooh, it's alive. It's quite wound up on the, but what I'm thinking is that can, maybe we'll just do it twice. But just be aware it's been quite tightly wound for a while, so we just need to straighten it out. Actually I'm going to do it in, see, you can just go with whatever you fancy. See, you can just see how I'm changing my mind and tweaking it. I want those ends hidden is the ultimate thing, to come out either side. So actually what I'm going to do, put a little bit of tape in the middle. It's extra wiggly, and then I'm going to go across like so and across like so. But of course if we want it slightly shorter, because it's just on double-sided tape, we can lift it. I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter. That longer bit I can trim off. So there we go, that's what we're doing with that. So I'm going to stick this on first. Now I'm going to use some dimensionals with this. So I'm going to pop 3 across the centre and 1 on the stalk there. The reason I'm sticking this down first is we can create an invisible gluing on the back using the glue dots, because obviously if we didn't do that you potentially risk, someone shout at me where my glue dots are. There we go. So then all my glue dots I'm going to put on the back here to glue it on are going to be behind that flower, bunch of flowers, because then we don't risk, because sometimes with vellum your glue can show through a little bit. So I'm doing the 4 corners. I'm going to add another one where that, actually I might also add one in the middle there where that dimensional is. So a couple where the dimensionals are, and then 4 just to make it nice and secure. So again, just pop the tops off pick tool or a nail just picks it off. I haven't got, if you've got better nails than I, or if you're careful, the point of a pair of scissors. Obviously if you're using this as a project to share with younger children, then do supervise them using anything that's sharp, but it's a fantastic way to get crafting. So there's all the tops of my glue dots, so I'm going to centre that. A little bit of pressure on that one. Then I've just got this little sentiment with my trim on, so I'm going to again use a couple of, now what I'm going to do with this is when I've got that in position, I'm going to place my dimensional over the top. Essentially then you're securing the ribbon at the same time, the twine. Make sure your sentiment's obviously the right way up. Place that where you want it, and then all I need to do is that little bit there can be just be trimmed off. Then you've got a little bit of extra, and of course we do of course need to add, I might use some of the smaller ones and pop. So what you can do with the smaller ones is just add two together, quite close together. So that's 4 cards already, and you can, I mean, I've still got plenty of material left, so it really does let you create any set of birthday stamps. Let's see what we can do with this stripy background. Let's pick, we could, oh, how about that one? And actually what we could, so what we could do is cut some stripes out of this paper in almost like a scrappy technique, kind of not necessarily overly straight. And then we could have on the top the gold as that goes across. Might do them slightly fatter. So, but you can see, oh, I'm just kind of going with what comes to my mind. So I think it's a fantastic way of just sitting and letting that little bit of creativity out of your mind. I promise you it's in there somewhere. If you're new to crafting. So for me, creating this, because I've got it, I'm going to use some double-sided tape. So any double-sided tape on a reel, you know, a tear and tape type of thing. So in the first instance, I'm going to have that running over the edges. I'm going to trim it afterwards. Actually, that's a little bit thin. So the other thing you can always use is a glue. PVA type glue is perfect. And this doesn't have to be, just whatever you fancy. That's what I might use. Actually, I think the PVA glue is probably slightly better. So I have those ends hanging off. Like so. And see, that can go over the top. Then, oh, lost my sentiments momentarily. And remember, when you've cut, when I did that one that was cutting, you've still got that bit of I'm going to put that at an angle and that sort of straight on. I'm going to use that "Can't Believe It, You're Another Year Older." It's going to sit down the bottom there. So I'm going to stick this on first. So let's use that wet glue again. Put that on at an angle. Then I'm going to pop this on some of our dimensionals. But you get plenty of dimensionals in the kit, and they just do give a bit of a lift. The only thing that you need to consider is potentially using a number of them means that you can no longer send it on a standard first class stamp. You do need to put a first class large on, so I'm going to do that at a jaunty angle as well. And to do that like that, so I'm going to cut the bottom piece off after I've stuck this down, which will kind of make sense. So I'm going to do it so that the sentiment that I've got is going to be straight. And then all I've got to do is take my scissors, snip those ends off, and that's how you get the neatest finish on the front of the card. So there and there. Then we just need a bit of bling. So hopefully this has given you some great ideas for utilising the kit, not just for the sentiments that are in there, but for all sorts of other occasions. And something like Itty Bitty Birthdays is brilliant for kind of all sorts of different birthday sentiments. Might just pop one. Oh, decisions. I'm going to pop it there. See, that's the hardest decision you have to go make where to put your embellishments. So, and I've got lots of my paper left. I've still got 2 of those flowers left there. I've still got 2 of my thinking of you. So what you do have to do is just find the backing. The paper is really good thick quality, but leave the sentiments behind and pull off the paper. Is the easiest way to use those. So they are in German, French and English. And then I've still got a full sheet with another full bouquet, 2 flowers and that stripe. I've still got another one of those left, and I've still got this one that I haven't used as yet because it's not dry. And even when you've used all that up, you've still got a stamp set that you can use. The bouquet is fantastic coloured in all sorts of other ways. So yeah, fantastic little kit for the reasons it's created for a bouquet of hope, but also for cards for any reasons. And just, as I say, ink takes a while to dry on vellum, so don't ink it and then use it straight away. So there we go. I have so far created 6 cards and still got lots more products to make more cards with. So hopefully that gives you some inspiration. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.